Hello Cherries fans, welcome to the opposition preview. Massive game at the weekend. Can we keep up our good little run? But first of all, we need to speak to a Villa fan. So we've got Simon from Villa on Tour. Simon, how you doing, mate? Good win last night.
Yeah, doing well. Yeah, Villa are sort of riding high, doing well in Europe as well, and so happy days at the moment. Yeah, it's going really well.
What did you think on the game last night? Because obviously we were taking a bit of a interest in terms of, let's see if anyone gets a knock, obviously, without truly wanting it, of course. But how did you think the game went? Because I've watched Villa a few times. I watched the game last night and I thought it was a difficult one, but I felt in the second half you controlled it quite well and you deserved the win. Were you happy with the performance?
Yeah. I think it's kind of how Villa's Europa Conference League games have gone. If I'm being honest, I think they've not been great spectacles. They've been maybe a bit of a hard watch. Some people would say quite slow in the build up of the play a lot of the time, but I think it's deliberate though. If I'm being honest, I think they're picking they're picking a side which is strong while trying to rotate the squad as well. But I think they're trying not to exert themselves too much as well. I think as you see the play, Villa had 65, 70% possession, which is quite a regular feature, especially at Villa Park. But it was walking pace at times, and so like the likes of Dougie Luiz and Ezri Konsa and John McGee and the players that I've seen to be playing every single game, they weren't put through much physical exertion, if you know what I mean. And so I mean, we've got ourselves through the group. It looks like we're going to win the group, and it's been fairly straightforward. Apart from the opening game defeat against Legia, it's been fairly straightforward, and Villa haven't had to exert themselves too much, which has had an impact then on the Premier League. Because I think a lot of people were thinking that Villa's European sort of adventures would cost them a little bit in the Premier League as well, and so far that hasn't actually happened. And I do think it's because of our strength in depth, but also how we sort of manage these games. We in-game manage very, very well. And so, yeah, we came out with a win. It was a shame we didn't get the extra goal, which would have absolutely guaranteed us moving through to the round of 16 straight away. But it's, I mean, we only need to avoid defeat in Bosnia in a couple of weeks' time, so it should be okay, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what I was going to allude to, Simon, is that I was one of them. I thought, could this maybe mean they struggled a little bit more than anticipated in the league? But I think it's shown, and I think it proved last night, your squad depth. I thought in particular, Moreno's obviously come back and he looked brilliant. I thought Jacob Ramsey coming back. And you're starting to look at that squad now and thinking, yeah, you can make a few little changes and not a lot changes in the way you play, which impressed me. Was there anyone that you think come in that's maybe knocked on the door? Because I know Kamara is suspended for our game. And I wonder, we're thinking about it for, kind of who you're going to play in that role. Do you think, Tielemans has done enough? Do you think a Ramsey could come in? Who do you think will come in for Kamara at the weekend?
If I had to put my bet on it, I would say that you'll push John McGinn back into the holding two alongside Dougie Luiz. He did that quite a lot last season. I think everyone expects Tielemans to come in and sort of play in that holding two alongside Luiz, but he doesn't get around the pitch enough for that position under Unai Emery. And so Tielemans has been very good lately, by the way. It's not me slamming him. He's been very good, but Emery's sort of preferred him in a more sort of higher role, that sort of attacking role. And so I would expect John McGinn to play a little bit further back. I'd expect Tielemans to carry on over on probably that left-hand side. And potentially you might see like a Bailey come in. I think he did well at Spurs last weekend. He's been in good form, actually. He was unlucky not to score last night. So we've got options, as you say. We've got Jacob Ramsey coming back as well, and I think we're trying to err on the side of caution with him because he's been out for a little while. So whether he starts the game, I'm not too sure. But yeah, we've got options. But I think if I was going to sort of hang my hat on it, I'd say McGinn will move back and Tielemans will play in that sort of slightly advanced role.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think another player I was going to ask you about, because I'm not sure if you're aware, we were really close to signing Zaniolo. And I think it was something, I don't know if we pulled out or they pulled out, but it was something to do with an injury and different bits and bobs. And then obviously a while passed, because I think that was in the January, and you've got him in. What have you made of him? Because he started a lot and then he's come out of the side. I know there was a few things outside of football that maybe affected that, but are you liking what you see from him?
To be honest with you, we haven't seen a massive amount of what he can actually do. I mean, he has started quite a few games. He's been a part of the team in terms of contributing, but he hasn't actually recorded any assists or goals yet, which Villa fans might have expected him to have done a little bit better. But that doesn't tell you the full story, though. He hasn't been playing badly. He's been quite unlucky on occasions, though. I mean, he's hit the bar, he's hit the post, he's had ones cleared off the line, sort of thing. And so he's been unlucky in parts. I think we're looking to see a little bit more consistency from him. But I think coming from the Turkish league, he's had injury problems with he's done his ACL twice, sort of thing, and obviously he's had the off the field stuff go on with the betting sort of scandal, which obviously has been sort of cleared up. I think there's been things going on outside of what's going on at Villa, and so I think we got to give him a little bit of time. But he looks a good player. He does look a good player, but I think it's about waiting for that first goal, waiting for that first assist, and seeing if he can carry on from there. But again, he's been sort of a welcome addition, because obviously we lost Emi Buendia only 2 days before the start of the season, and again he would have been a real sort of big pivotal part of the team this season, and obviously he's been ruled out for pretty much the entire season with his ACL. So we have had our injury problems as well, which is quite pleasing as to where we are actually in terms of our squad. It shows you that we have actually got a decent squad this year.
Yeah, I think we're in a similar position at the moment. I don't know if you saw Lloyd Kelly is out for us at the weekend, which is a real blow. So both our full-backs really when Max Aaron's out. Obviously, we've signed a few players like Tyler Adams, Alex Scott out injured, and you've had a similar situation with injuries. And while we're on it, he's above your head there. Tyrone Mings obviously got him from us. What is horrible to see, he's got another long-term injury, which he had when he came to us. Just what you make of Ty, and how's he look? Have you heard anything about how his recovery's going, and if you can maybe see him this season? Or it's a real blow to him, because I think he would have probably been in that England squad for the Euros. I think Southgate liked that he was that left-sided centre back. But yeah, just tell me about Mings and how much he's loved up there.
Yeah, he is. He's absolutely loved, and I think he goes back from when he was brought into the club. He obviously brought in on loan while we were struggling in the Championship, and he was part of that record-breaking 10 wins in a row in the Championship, which essentially got us promoted through the playoffs, and obviously then joined us permanently. And he's just been with us throughout the time, staying up in the league, through the tough times during COVID, and then as the team got better under Dean Smith, and then he then went through a real bad spell under Steven Gerrard, and Steven Gerrard didn't particularly like him for whatever reason. And I think everyone was questioning whether his Villa career was going to carry on under Gerrard, to be honest. He was, if you remember, on the opening day last season, he was left out of the team at your place when we lost 2-0. And I always said then, I think that decision by Steven Gerrard that day to leave Mings out of the team, it kind of turned the Villa fans against him in a way. And some of the comments he made in the press afterwards, obviously we lost the game 2-0 through 2 headed goals, if you remember that day, through Kiefer Moore. And so it was, I think Villa fans lost a lot of respect for Steven Gerrard that day. And I think if Gerrard was ever going to get into a battle with anybody, it wasn't Tyrone Mings to do that. And then Emery came in, and he really upped his game again, and he turned into this real leader and real defender that we knew. And obviously he got back into the England squad, and unfortunately picked up an absolutely horrendous injury. It wasn't just a straightforward ACL. He did 2 of the ligaments in his knee, which made the injury even worse. And there was a couple of weeks ago, Villa fans were concerned because he put an Instagram story up, and he was saying, I'll provide a bit of an update on my situation later today. And there was a load of rumours going around that he was going to retire, which was totally unfounded. He came out and he did a little video, and he showed the operation he had, and some of the training he's been doing back in America and back at the Villa training ground. And so, if you're asking me, do I think he's going to be back for this season? Probably not, to be honest. I think his injury was so bad, I don't expect it. I think with Buendia, his injury was a little bit different, and so you can expect to see him back maybe March, April time. Mings, I don't think it will happen. I think he'll be given the season, and hopefully he'll be back ready for pre-season next year, where he can sort of stake a claim again. But I think the landscape will have changed a little bit when he comes back. I think obviously we've got Ezri Konsa in the England squad now playing excellently. Pau Torres, who all of a sudden is starting to look like a real top-class centre-half. And even Diego Carlos come back from his injury, who has looked very good in the last few weeks. So he'll have competition, but I don't think his Villa career will be over by any stretch. I mean, he signed a new long-term contract only early this year. And so Mings will be part of the fabric when he comes back. And it's not even just his defending abilities. I think it's his leadership traits as well. I think he really sort of leads that Villa side, and he's a real go-to person for the manager. And so, yeah, he's universally loved at Villa Park, Tyrone Mings, and top guy and just a top professional.
Yeah, agree, mate. Let's hope his recovery goes well for him. So in terms of us, I think a lot of people, a lot of neutrals will probably be looking at this going, Villa banker, they'll go to Bournemouth, Villa are flying. Bournemouth are a bit inconsistent, but we're on a decent little run, to be fair to us. What have you made of bits you've seen of us? And is there a potential area or kind of weakness in yourselves that you think we might be able to hurt you? Is there any, or is there like a player that you're a bit kind of worried about from our perspective?
I think overall, I think from the outside looking in, I haven't seen a lot of your games, if I'm being honest, but from the outside looking in, it looks like you've been a little bit unlucky in quite a few games, to be honest. I think you've obviously hired the new manager in Iriola, and obviously he brings about a totally different style, doesn't he? A totally new style to what you were used to under Gary O'Neill. And I know there was a bit of controversy about you moving on to Iriola, and but that's what the club felt like they needed to do. And so I think it was always going to take time. I think it was always going to take time to bed in, but I think the signs of the recent weeks have shown that, you know what, this is actually going to work for you guys, and fair play, because he seems like a top manager, and so I'm glad you sort of stuck with him. I'm glad you didn't panic in those early sort of weeks, as some clubs might have. So yeah, you stuck with him, and I think in terms of how you get at us for the weekend, I think Villa's away form has been a little bit patchy, compared to our home form, which has been exemplary. I mean, we've won every game at home. Away from home, it's not been terrible, but it's been a little bit patchy. I mean, we went to Nottingham Forest the other week, and obviously we got beat 2-0 there, and that was a game where Forest sort of sat really deep and sort of hit us on the counter. And we tend to struggle against teams who do sit back. We tend to struggle when we've got to try and break teams down. I think that's when we can sort of struggle. But I mean, like the game last weekend at Spurs, for instance, that was the absolutely ideal game for Villa, because Spurs came at us and they always were going to come at us, and so Villa were able to play that on the counter attack that day. It's kind of Villa's strength to play on the counter, especially away from home. But not saying that we don't control the ball. I'd expect on Sunday to be a real battle of who controls the ball, because obviously you guys have upped your possession stats under the new manager, but Villa are very much control possession sort of side now. It'll be interesting to see how we do get on with that on Sunday, especially without Kamara, because he's been quite key to that. So yeah, it'd be interesting. I think, but I think you can get us, definitely. And I think away from home, we have got niggly doubts in us, but again, I still think there's an overarching confidence about it, so that we can go anywhere and pick up a result as well, because we've obviously got top class players, obviously Watkins, Diaby, people like that can obviously hurt teams in an instance, and Douglas Luiz has been absolutely brilliant this season. And so yeah, I think it should be a good game. I think he's got all the hallmarks of a really, really good game, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, it should be. And I think, reiterate what you say there. Every time I've watched you, Douglas Luiz has just been Rolls Royce of that midfield, just been really classy, really impressed with him. But yeah, I think Bournemouth fans listening to this will probably be a little bit concerned, in the sense that Forest, the way they played against you, I thought was perfect. We're a little bit, obviously we ain't got as much quality, bit more like Tottenham, will probably be quite open. The things I've seen that I thought we might be able to hurt you is we've got that pace up front in transitions, and you play that high line. But we try to do the same, and I do worry a bit of your quality, Diaby, especially if he pulls to that right-hand side, where obviously we're without Lloyd Kelly now. Could cause some problems, but I agree with you. I think it'll be an open, exciting game. It's maybe should have been one they put on telly, but not the case. Go on then. Quick prediction. What do you think the score will be? What are you going for?
Well, to be honest, I mean, I've been to Bournemouth twice, and my two trips have been absolutely miserable. We lost 2-1 under Dean Smith when Samatta scored for us, I think it was.
Yeah,
our team was horrendous back then. And then we lost, obviously, on the opening day of the season. So two really miserable outings at Bournemouth. It's a bit of we like to call it a bit of a bogey ground, even though we haven't played there a lot. I know we won on the opening day of the season. I think your first season in the Premier League, when Rudy just scored, and that we didn't record another away win all season after that, and we got relegated. But yeah, I think that in the current form we're in, with the confidence that's flowing through, we're sitting fourth in the Premier League at the moment. Real confidence around the club, and injuries have come back and stuff. And I think we're strong at the moment, and I think even without Kamara, I think Villa can. If we play like how we know we can, I think we can win. So if you ask me for a prediction, we don't keep clean sheets, by the way. So for a prediction, I'd say 2-1 Villa.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think a lot of people will have this kind of both teams to score, maybe Villa to nick it. So I think that's a fair prediction. I'm hoping we can maybe get a 2 or something and do all right at home. Like I say, we are on a decent bit of form. It's only Man City that stops that kind of win and run, and that's Man City. So yeah, no, appreciate that, Simon, and hopefully you have a good season, but maybe it just tails off at the weekend. But yeah, appreciate it. And where can everyone see your stuff? I know it's Villa on Tour.
Yeah, so it's the Villa on Tour channel on YouTube. Yeah, we're just a bunch of mates who travel Villa home and away all throughout Europe, all throughout the Premier League and everywhere else. So yeah, tune in. It's always a pretty decent watch. So yeah.
Nice one, Simon. Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Thank you.
Good stuff. Lovely to have Simon on. So yeah, really looking forward to the game at the weekend. Make sure you do all that good stuff. Give it a like, hit the bell, click subscribe, because me and Sam will be giving you a preview tomorrow. So come on the Cherries.
Back in the net! Back in the net!